The thing about cooking with recipes is that they really just provide amounts of ingredients, and there's much more than that involved in cooking. Cooking without recipes isn't just a free-for-all, really, but I did initially learn mostly using intuition. I did logical things to solve problems when I had cooking issues. I tried adding things that made sense. When something was too sweet, I added sour. When something was too salty, I added a little bit of sweet. When something was sour, I added sweet to it. So I just used logic to solve those problems in the kitchen. When I started researching these methods, I found out that there actually was some science involved in this, and I was doing logical things that were actually science. They had some basis. I'm still not an expert on food science, and I took physics instead of chemistry in high school, so I don't know much about chemistry. But there are some basic guidelines for messing around with food in the kitchen that can help you become less dependent on recipes and a little bit more creative in the kitchen. So there's your intuition, and then there's the science. The intuition piece is when you focus on using your five senses to work with foods and put together meals. When you're cooking, focus on how the foods look before, during, and after you cook them, because that gives you a lot of information. Don't forget to smell everything. Use your sense of smell. Don't be afraid to touch your food. Texture is really important. I know that good chefs and good cooks can really tell how done meat is just by touching it. I'm not that good at that yet, especially since I don't eat any red meat, so I don't have a lot of practice with it. But I have been practicing it as I do have opportunities to cook meat, touching it before I cut it so that I can see what it feels like and then see what it looks like, and really using those two senses to practice getting better at that skill. And I don't really use hearing very much when I'm cooking, but there are times when hearing does become important. So especially when things are cooking, sometimes hearing can give you some information about the food and where it's at. Finally, tasting as you cook is a great way to learn to be more intuitive. So instead of waiting till the meal is ready to taste it, taste as you go. And then there's the science that can also help you manipulate the tasting part. So once you've tasted food, what do you do with it if it doesn't taste the way you want it to? And that's the science part. So there are 5 general food tastes to pay attention to: sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and then umami. You're probably familiar with the first 4, but umami may be a new one for you. Umami is basically glutamate, and it intensifies the taste of food. So it's what makes food taste yummy. And if food is dull, it will brighten up the taste or intensify that flavor. Umami is found in things that are fermented and aged, like cheese or tamari, and also in foods like mushrooms, meats, fish, shellfish. They all have umami tastes. So if you can begin to include this knowledge into your cooking, then you can have a lot more creative control. For example, if something is too bitter, try adding salt. If something's too salty, try adding sweet. If something's too sweet, try adding sour or bitter. You can endlessly work with these 4 flavors to get the right flavor. Umami helps brighten a dull meal. So that's something that you add when you taste it and you're just like not sure, it tastes like it needs just something else. Try an umami flavor. That's what makes a meal less dull. I'm also big on spicy and use it whenever I can.